Putting Heads on Beds podcast, episode 000.
Welcome to the Putting Heads on Beds podcast, where through education, inspiration, and motivation, we help you to boost bookings and transform your business. And now, your host, Stephanie Thomas.
Hello everyone, I'm Stephanie Thomas and I want to thank you for joining me for the very first episode of Putting Heads on Beds. When I started my business creating bookings back in 2010, my goal was simple. Share the strategies that helped me to build a thriving and successful accommodation business. I wanted to share my successes and my failures to help others reach their business goals. And as you might already know, that's exactly what I've been doing for almost 7 years now. I've been sharing my knowledge, my experience, and my skills with business owners from all corners of the globe. Whatever stage they've been at in their business, through one-to-one mentoring, my online programs, or attending live training events, I've been helping my clients to boost their bookings and seriously grow their profits. My passion is helping people, and my greatest reward is seeing their success and amazing results. And so I've set my personal goal for 2017 to help even more accommodation providers and business owners than ever before. I want to really give and add value to everyone who's trying to build a successful business. Now, for about 3 years now, I've personally been listening to podcasts. They've become one of my go-tos where I gain further knowledge on personal growth, entrepreneurship, and to help me grow my own businesses. Like most people, I'm a really busy person. I run my own businesses. I've got a husband. I've got a teenage daughter who's just studying her A-levels. I have a busy social life. I have lots going on. But I also constantly want and need to learn, and podcasts are just a perfect fit for me. They offer a combination that is hard to beat. They're targeted, there's no commercials, and the great thing, they're free. And I find that I can listen to them around my busy life. I can listen to them in the car when I'm travelling to the office or travelling to see clients. I can put them on my iPod when I'm going for a walk. I can play them when I'm cooking dinner. Listening to podcasts fits around my life. And over the years, I found myself drawn towards the privately produced podcasts. I really love listening to the shows that are produced by entrepreneurs and business owners who share insights into their businesses. I love hearing about their journey, not just what they're doing successfully now, but what they did to reach that success. And as I said, listening to them really helps me to keep driving my businesses forward. And about a year ago, I thought, actually, I'd quite like to produce my own podcast to help my clients and other accommodation providers to drive their businesses forward faster. But it was a really busy year last year, so it's been a while in the planning, but I am really proud and excited to at last be launching my brand new podcast, Putting Heads on Beds. What I'm going to do, I'm going to be producing a brand new 30-minute episode every other week. And in it, I'll be educating, inspiring and motivating you to move your business forward. I'll be revealing what works and what doesn't when it comes to building a thriving and successful accommodation business. Does that sound interesting? Well, keep listening and I'll delve into the details of the episodes and also tell you a little bit about the host, me, Steph Thomas. I'm going to be trying to follow a clear and concise format on every show so that you'll know exactly what to expect. Each episode will start with a brief introduction of what I'm going to cover during the following 30 or so minutes, and then I will literally be jumping straight in. My aim is for each episode to be like a mini training session, so I'll be focusing on something that you can take away and implement in your business straight away. That's going to seriously help you to start taking things to the next level. From digital marketing, growing your list, blogging, pay-per-click advertising. I'll be covering social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, looking at email marketing, how you can maximise repeat bookings, looking at knowing your numbers, how to boost profits, getting things done. I'm going to be covering so much, but I will be breaking everything down into easy to follow step-by-step actions that's going to help you to see powerful results fast. So you can listen to each episode digitally and on demand. whether it's on your computer, on your smartphone, or on your iPad or in your car. As I said, I'll be posting new episodes every 2 weeks, and when you subscribe, you'll receive them automatically. But not only that, I'm going to take what I share in my podcast a step further, and I'll be producing a freebie to go with each episode. That could be exercises that you can work through to help you get to where you need to be, cheat sheets. I might be sharing some copy that you can swipe and model in your own business, sharing templates. Whatever it is, you'll be able to download the powerful freebie, and I hope that that's really going to give and add value to the regular podcast episodes. But I don't want to stop there. As I've shared, my goal for this year is to help as many accommodation providers as I can. I know that when I was trying to build my business, it was often a very, very lonely task. I can remember how much of a struggle it was at times. Back then, I really wished that I had somewhere that I could go to get advice from others who'd already sort of walked the path. I dreamed back then of having someone that I could go to for help, who could give me the answers or who would be able to tell me where to go to get the answers. I know if I'd had somebody by my side back then, my life would have been very different in those early days. If I'd had somebody to support and motivate me, I know that I wouldn't have had to go through the struggle I had to go through to get to where I needed to be. And I have no doubt that many of you have the same wish today. So at the same time that I'm launching my podcast, I'm also going to be launching my brand new private Facebook group, a place where we can all come together and share insights and tips, ask questions, get answers, and most importantly, provide support for one another in your journey. Now, I'm going to be in that Facebook group a lot to help you wherever I can. I'll be putting a link to that group in the show notes, or you can head over to www.creatingbookingscommunity.com and you can then join the group. I'd love to see you there. One thing I found myself listening to podcasts is that no matter how educational a podcast is, no matter how amazing the content, sometimes I just have questions. Sometimes they're only just little queries. I just need to clarify something, get something straight to my head. But sometimes the questions are a little bit chunkier. And if you find that in your position, what I'm going to be doing is a regular Q&A session in that private Facebook group that will focus on the previous week's podcast. So I'm going to give you time to listen to the podcast, a little bit of time to put some of the things in place that I'm sharing, but that'll also allow time for the problems or the questions to arise. And so every alternate week, I will be in that group doing a Q&A session, focusing on the previous week's podcast and answering any questions you've got. So before you forget, when you finish listening to this podcast, please head over and join the group. Okay, so now you know my reasoning for creating the Putting Heads on Bed podcast and what I'm going to be sharing. What I'd like to do is just finish this episode with a little bit of information on my background. After all, if our paths haven't crossed before, you might be wondering who on earth I am and why I can help you. After spending 25 years creating results and achieving success for other people in their businesses, 25 years of working for other people, my husband Neil and I decided to follow a dream that we'd had for a pretty long time of owning a bed and breakfast. We were ready to take life a little easier and enjoy more family time. I know, we naively embraced the idea of a lifestyle change and thought it would be lovely just to work in the mornings, cooking a few breakfasts, changing a few beds before having every afternoon off. This was our time. And so we packed in our corporate jobs and we bought a rundown B&B by the sea. And when I mean rundown, it was rundown. It hadn't traded for over 3 years. Blood, sweat, tears, love, rage, total commitment went into turning that B&B into a place that we could be really proud of, as well as all our life savings. Despite creating a beautiful place to stay in and providing a fantastic service to our guests, those first few years were a real struggle. To be honest, we were constantly burnt out from working about 100 hours a week, and we desperately needed more guests. We only just made ends meet each year. And to be honest, we probably would have just continued along that path. But one defining moment changed everything for us. The Great Recession hit. And we found ourselves in a desperate state. Bookings almost slowed to a halt, and we were really panicking. We had quite high mortgage payments to meet. We had lots of bills to pay. We had a young daughter, our daughter Cara, to look after. We weren't living the dream at that point. To be honest, we were living a nightmare. And the worry and stress started to affect our relationship too. So much for Neil and I spending more time together. There were moments back then where we were hardly talking. And selling up wasn't even an option. It would have been, quite honestly, so easy to just pack everything in and return to a normal 9-to-5 life. But when the financial crisis hit rock bottom, so did the value of our business, leaving us no choice but to try and ride out that recession. Do you know what? I dreamed of owning my own business. I dreamed of owning my own B&B. But at that point, my business owned me. I know that I had made one major mistake back then. I'd been so caught up in the daily life of running the B&B that I hadn't spent anywhere near enough time working on the business. I needed to transform the business and our life, so I had to start acting and thinking differently, and I had to start doing it fast. I had to learn the secrets to success. So I started to learn. I'll be honest, we didn't have much money, so I maxed out the credit cards and I started to learn everything I could about business growth and marketing. I read books, I attended conferences and seminars and teleseminars. I signed up to online programs and eventually I joined a mastermind group, and I committed hours, days, weeks to absorbing and understanding, but more crucial than that, to actually implementing everything I learned. I'll be honest, not everything worked quite as I thought it would, and sometimes I made some critical mistakes. Mistakes, to be honest with you, that really cost me dearly. But it didn't stop me. I learnt from those mistakes, I revised what I was doing, and then slowly everything started to work. I did have skills and experience that I developed throughout my career, but when I combined those with my newfound marketing knowledge, that's when everything changed. And I started to put together a formula to grow my business. To be honest with you, a formula that actually turned my business around. It helped us to attract more of our ideal guests. It helped us to get them to stay more often and to stay longer each time. And in quite a short time, we started to see amazing results. We actually raised room rates while everyone around us was battling quite a vicious price war. This was the recession, so you can imagine what it was like. But our profits started to increase, and I mean quite seriously increase. Because I learned what worked and what didn't when it came to marketing the business, I actually saved thousands of pounds, but at the same time was able to make even more because I was bringing in even more guests. We actually ended up no longer being dependent on late rooms or booking.com because the majority of our bookings came directly. And you can only just imagine how much more profit that put in our back pocket. Our average occupancy rate was 92%, and guest loyalty seriously increased. Over 65% of our business was a repeat business. Over 65% of our business were guests coming back to stay with us again and again. The average stay grew to 4 nights, and we never took one-night stays again. We gained accolades and awards in recognition of our outstanding service, which really was the icing on the cake. And all of this success meant one other thing: we actually got to take time off. We eventually only traded for 9 months of the year, and we were able to take each winter off. We managed to build an award-winning and thriving B&B, which gave us the lifestyle that we dreamed of in the beginning. And all of this in what was still, to be honest with you, a very difficult economic climate. Now, before I knew it, other accommodation providers, other B&B owners started to approach me saying, can you help me? Because obviously you're doing something right. They wanted me to help them to get more guests. They wanted to know what were my secrets. But at the time, obviously, I couldn't help them because actually they were still our competitors. But this did plant an idea in my mind. The thought of showing other business owners how to become savvy marketers actually really excited me. The thought of teaching them my secret formula, helping them to fall in love with their businesses again, really inspired me. But could I give up our extremely successful B&B, one that we had worked so hard to achieve, just because I had a passion to help others? It wasn't an easy decision, but what Neil and I decided to do was let fate step in. And so we put the B&B on the market with a bit of a, if it's meant to be, it'll happen attitude. Well, to cut a long story short, our B&B sold for the full asking price only 7 days after putting it up for sale. Creating Bookings launched the week after we sold and moved into our new home, and the rest, as they say, is history. So why am I telling you all this? I'm not sharing my story with you to boast. That's certainly not what I want to do. The reason I'm sharing it with you is because I want to show you that I really have walked the walk. I don't just talk the talk. I have stood exactly where you are standing today. I'm sharing my story to show you that, do you know what? I made every mistake in the book, but I learned exactly what you need to do to build a profitable and successful business. I'm sharing my story with you to show that I really know my stuff. I am so proud of having shared my knowledge, experience and my skills with hundreds over the past 7 years from all corners of the globe. Whatever stage they've been at in their business, whether they're just starting, they've been in it for a couple of years, or, they're seeing their 15th, 16th, 20th year in business, I have been able to help them to boost their bookings and seriously grow their profits. I have been able to help them to make it happen, but I'm ready to take things a step further now. Up until now, I've only shared secrets with my private clients and my customers. But now, through this, my new Putting Heads on Beds podcast and my new private Facebook group, I want to share them with you. So I want to thank you again for joining me here at Putting Heads on Beds. I truly hope that some, if not all, of the episodes that I produce are going to help you to get and keep more guests than you ever imagined. If you find value in this podcast, then click the subscribe button and you'll automatically receive all future episodes. Now, you're absolutely going to love the next episode. I'm really excited for you to be listening into this. I am so excited for you to begin your journey. And so you can head over now to the next episode. It's there, it's ready for you to listen to. So let's start putting heads on beds together the easy way. Bye for now.
And that's a wrap for this week's show. Thanks for listening to the Putting Heads on Beds podcast. Make sure you visit us at creatingbookings.com.